Then I moved to South Mountain, about a mile away from the east side, and I saw what these things were doing in the daytime. I clearly was starting to understand, look, man, sure, there might be craft out there. I get it. Why not? But, the scientists, have found, 7 Earth-like planets, and what's to say there could be life on these planets, and there's some kind of technology where these people has come and visited Earth. Sure, why not? I get it. But I think what the majority of the public are seeing, such as orbs and lights, are living beings, living creatures. I don't think we're dealing with technology here at all. I think these things are alive. I think they shape-shift, much like what the Indians are talking about here. And I think they're like creatures. And they're hanging around South Mountain. So I had to ask myself, why? Why, because I've been doing this research for many, many years, and it seems like the source, the hot spots, are mountains, such as like volcanoes and things like that. So why does this mountain attract the Phoenix Lights, and why does it attract these beings in the daytime? And I found out that it has everything to do with the fault line. The fault line, the mountains around Phoenix, Arizona, most of them was created by volcanoes. And South Mountain was one of them. And this is the reason why, like in 2004, I was filming these lights, the summer. These lights were hanging right over a major power plant on the east side of Phoenix, Arizona, on the east side of South Mountain. Now, this is important because this power plant is boiled down into that fault line of South Mountain. Later on, it come to find out that the Hohokam Indians, the people who first lived here in the valley, that was the main city, was right there where this power plant sits today. So that's telling me that these lights have always been drawn to that energy source. Not only to that energy source, but also, South Mountain and some of the other mountains in Phoenix, Arizona. And so during the day, I'm seeing these things come out of the sky. And I can understand why the Native Americans call these things spirits. Okay, it's not technology that we're dealing with here. It's like a type of entity. Okay, they're solid. When they're coming out of the sky, they're solid. They're changing shapes. Sometimes they're changing colors. Okay, and then when they come closer down to the mountain, then all of a sudden they kind of change, right? You can kind of see through them, right? They're like a ghost, if you will. And they cruise across the mountain range there, and then all of a sudden they just absorb themselves into the rocks. Now, when I started videotaping all this, I was like a shock. I was amazed. I was like, what in the heck is going on here? And I remember about a year ago, on a news station out here, that a Native American shaman from the Pueblo Indian Art Museum in downtown Phoenix was doing a petroglyph tour hike on South Mountain, and the people that he was showing the petroglyphs to, when the person goes, this stick figure man looks like he's looking up at something in the sky. And the Native American turned right around and said, yes, that is part of the interpretations here, is that our ancestors saw and recorded things that they saw in the sky. Well, boom, right there, that just set it all in motion. I was thinking to myself, we have strange lights in the skies. Now we have strange carvings on the mountains out here. There's got to be a connection. So I called up this guy, and I asked him, I said, I saw you on television. I didn't really tell him, what I was doing, who I really was, but I said, hey, can you take me up on the mountain and show me the petroglyphs? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll meet you up on South Mountain. So we all met up there, and I asked him if I could videotape it. I documented all this, and we spent about 3 hours up there on the mountain, and he went into some crazy things that, at the time I'm like, well, wait a minute. How is this possible? For instance, he was explaining to me that the spirals carved out there are actually doorways for the spirits. They're marking doorways for the spirits of the earth and sky. And he was explaining that if the spiral ends down, there's probably a crack right there. If it ends into the crack of the boulder, then that is the emergence point. That is the vortex to the underworld. And if the spiral ends up, then there's a doorway, if you will, in the sky. There's like a vortex in the sky. This is the reason why we see these lights. They just magically pop in. They hang in there in the skies for like maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Then they disappear, and then 2 more will appear right next to each other, right? Well, there's like a doorway. There's like a vortex up there, and that's what he was explaining.
So
he was telling
Jeff,
me about this.
I take it these are orbs and stuff that you're talking about, different than UFO sightings. So what you're saying around those mountains, there is orbs.
Well, I think, one of the problems is, when somebody sees, a light in the sky or they see an orb, they automatically assume that it's a spaceship, or if they see a metallic object out there, they automatically assume that it's a spaceship. And I don't think that's really the case here, I think what the majority of the public are seeing, the real stuff, not the fake CGI crafts, but the real stuff, such as orbs and lights and other stuff that we'll talk about here in a few minutes, are living beings, are living entities. And I think just because, they look like they're silver doesn't mean it's a spaceship, doesn't mean that it's a craft. Now, because this is all we understand at this point in time is technology, we assume that what we're looking at is a spaceship and there's a little guy controlling it, right? Because this is what we've been led to believe all these years. But I think what's really going on after seeing these things many, many, many times and understand what's really going on here, I think what we're dealing with is another being, another entity. Just as the oceanographers are finding new species of life below the ocean, this is a new species of life that is above the ocean that the people who know about this really, and scientists fail to recognize. But yet we all see them. We all know that there is something here. And it has everything to do with what the Native Americans have been telling us all along. Go up on the mountain to talk to the spirits. Well, hell, that's what I did. You go up on the mountain, you acknowledge that they're here on some spots where the petroglyphs are, and that's the stories here, that these petroglyphs has the power to invoke the spirits. And I have done this many times. When you go up there, you acknowledge them, you talk to them, you're either going to see them that day or you're going to see them within a few days, and they're going to come around. This I have proven many, many times through my films. And so as I'm talking to this guy and he's explaining about all this stuff, he went into the giants. The giants were here in Phoenix, Arizona. There's carvings of giants here in Phoenix. And he was talking about, what had happened to the Hohokam, because, the Hohokam is the name, is a Pima name. And some of the tribes, like the To'ota O'odham tribe, they consider themselves ancestors to the Hohokam also. And Hohokam means the people who are gone, the people who are missing, because we don't know what happened to these people. They lived here in the Valley of the Sun for 1,000 years. They were masters of the canals, okay? They were masters of the land back then. But yet, all of a sudden, they were here one day and gone the next with no trace. Now, the archaeologist wants us to believe, well, they simply migrated somewhere else. Okay, if they migrated somewhere else because of droughts, then where did they go? We find no evidence whatsoever on where these people went. They were here one day, gone the next, and this seems to be what is going on with other tribes around the world who was here one day and then gone the next. I mean, it just didn't happen here in Phoenix with the Hohokam. There were tribes around the same period of time where they came up missing also. And, when me and you move, we take our belongings with us. But yet the Hohokams didn't. They left everything behind and simply wiped out from the face of the earth. Now, when you ask some of the natives around the land, the ones who will talk about this, they will tell you, they will say that the devil came from the east and took these people away. They will say that these lights in the skies, these Phoenix lights, came down and took these people away. These flying serpents, these Quetzalcoatl, the Aztec god over there in Mexico, we have the exact same type of stuff that's going on here in Phoenix, Arizona. I have filmed many flying serpents, and there's flying serpent petroglyph carvings where people are looking up at flying snakes, flying diamonds, flying orbs, flying weird stuff, if you will. The archaeologist likes to call them anthropomorphs because they're morphing, they're changing shape, and they just think that it's, just a myth or maybe folklore. But I think that's what we're really dealing with here, is another entity, another life form. And it has everything to do with, because the story goes on to say that the sacrifice stopped, and this is what upsets the sky spirits, the spirits of the earth and the sky. And, I'm out there on South Mountain, and I'm documenting this for 3 years. I'm tracking them. I'm finding out that these things are here one season and gone the next season. And the Hohokam Indians were making structures out there facing the equinox and the solstice as the sun rises and comes down across the sky there. And they're marking shadow markers with spirals and things like this. And I'm watching it, and I'm documenting, because they were sky watchers also. And I'm watching these things, and I'm learning. I'm learning for 3 years. That first year I saw these things certain months, and then they were kind of gone certain months, and then they came back certain months. But the second year, when it repeated, oh my God, that was it. That was it. That was the secret, is they're following the patterns. They're following the seasons of the sun. They're tracking the sun. This is the reason why sometimes we see a lot of UFOs here in Phoenix, and then all of a sudden they're kind of gone, right? And where did they go? They went to Florida, or they went to Iraq, or they went to some other parts of the world, right? And then after the equinox and after the solstice, boom, they're back over here. They're following the sun. When the sun aligns with these natural energy sources such as fault lines and volcanoes, and then sometimes man-made energy sources such as nuclear facilities, things like that, it attracts these beings to these energy spots. And I believe this is the reason why, that they're lighting up. I think they're absorbing this energy, and energy is energy. It's like electricity, dude. They're going to light up. This is the reason why, we see lights, dude, is because they're absorbing the energy. And so I'm out here on South Mountain, and I'm hiking the mountain, and I'm finding all this art, and I'm finding some petroglyphs that resemble Mayan petroglyphs, Mayan rock art, and I'm finding altars, and I'm finding tombs. Okay, and this went on for over a year.
Okay,
and I'm finding all this evidence.
Jeff, we need to go to a break and then the news. So we're going to be, you're going to be on hold for about 8 minutes, and then we're going to come back, and then you can finish this. So, Jeff, just hang in there, and we'll be back with Jeff, and we'll be talking more about this on Night Dreams Talk Radio. Check our website out at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.